Hello. Thanks so much for joining us for another edition of Career Chat. Today's our special topic, and it is involving interviews, something that's so important. It's second only to the resume as far as helping you to get those wonderful opportunities. So we're going to have a full session today, so we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Marianne McCarley. I am the College of Liberal Arts Career Services Specialist. My majors that I am a specialist in include CMJN, Art, Music, Theater, and English. These tips today can pertain to any major and any student within the College of Liberal Arts as far as the basic things that you need to know and you need to prepare for an interview. Here's my information. It's got my email address as well as phone number, and myself as well as the rest of the Career Services team are available on Zoom or I believe in the fall for in-person meetings, as well as actually this summer we have been available for in-person meetings as well. Just have your PPE, have your masks, as we ask that is mandatory for all students that are visiting us. All right, but there you go if you want to make any kind of Zoom meeting. So let's begin. Interviews. So it is the best version of you. We say to be realistic. We say to show yourself. And again, this is you, but it's that better version of you. And it's that you that can specifically be in alignment with that job that you want. And the best case scenario, wherever your dream job is, you'll have looked at the job specs or what they need, and your strengths align with what they need or what their priorities are, responsibilities within the job. We're going to break that down and we're going to go through all of the different steps that you need, and there are many, right? First in this process, you have to find the right opportunities. And then from there, you get your perfect resume together that's specifically in line with that job. You've got a cover letter, again, that you make specifically for that job or that internship that you're applying for. From that, it whittles down into the first interview process and then typically a second interview process. So we're going to go through, since it's the pandemic now and all interviews are being conducted via Zoom or conference call or whatever typically online medium, we're going to go through that. But any of those things can prepare you for face-to-face as well, as more of those face-to-face opportunities are going to open up, or hopefully by spring. All right, so here's some of the campus resources. Of course, within the College of Liberal Arts Career Services, again, you can make an appointment on Handshake. We, this week, are doing mock interviews. So, be sure to reach out if you would like to have a mock interview. It's this week, but it's anytime, especially if you have an interview that you're preparing for specifically. Bring the job listing, bring all the information you have for the job listing, bring your resume, and we'll go through and do a real interview like you would have, but in this you would get feedback, and we'll give you some steps to help you when it comes to your real interview. Practice really helps, right? It helps to alleviate a lot of the stress as well. Also, the University Career Center, they have mock interviews that you can sign up for as well on their site. Also on their site, you could do interview stream. I know many of you that have taken LBAR 2010, you already have done interview stream. So it's the process that you record yourself doing an interview, talking to your screen, and then you can get timed and you see the countdown for how long it takes for you to answer. As in interview stream and in the real job opportunities where they've used something similar to Interview Stream, typically you get 2 tries. So your first try, if you really mess up badly, I would say go to the second try. But in a lot of cases, as in Warner Media first interviews, any of the jobs or internships for Warner Media, they'll use this. And if your first one, if you don't decide not to use it, then your second one you have to go with, or else the interview doesn't count at all. So again, if your first one, I would say if it's pretty good, typically stick with that, because you don't know what kinds of, things may pop up, or things that can give you a hiccup the second time. And if you were there for the Turner Media / CNN info session last fall, you probably heard some horror stories of people who their second try, they had someone in the background and they had a yelling match with, and that was the one, unfortunately, that ended up going for that job. Needless to say, she did not get that job. So, keep those things in mind. Again, first one. Also, another resource is Alumni Fire. Alumni Fire is our mentorship platform. We're going to talk a little bit more about that now, because it's a really incredible free resource for you, and it's got so many benefits for joining. And again, it's only available for College of Liberal Arts students, but the mentors and the alumni that have signed up, some of them are just friends of Auburn who want to help, or they're employers that want to help you. So here's Alumni Fire. If you could see that there at the bottom, this is where you sign up, auburncla.alumnifire.com. So be sure to do it. Great way to network with people, and there's no cold calls there, because there are people that want to connect with you. They signed up to speak with you. Right now we have about 130 people have signed up so far, and that's growing every day, and the job boards are growing every day as well. So make sure to do that. Here's another way, if you want to take a picture of that QR code, that can take you directly there, or again, here's the website information. So let's go to the interview checklist. And it's a lot here, but interviews are so important that you need to go through all 10 of these. I recommend, if you can, print this out, have them at the ready. And again, we'll go through this if you have any kind of meeting with us, because these are really important. We're going to go through every one of these now, so we're going to get started. Okay, number 1, with your interview outfit. And yes, if it's a Zoom, or if it's whatever online site you're going to be using for this interview, be sure to wear pants. Be sure to wear something just in case. And I've heard that horror stories, you may have as well, where someone was sipping on some hot coffee and they had a pop up, or as in the case with The Bachelor, when he was on, I believe it was Good Morning America, and they did a wider shot than what he was expecting. And then, they showed his, he was pantsless. So all I say is, make sure you're dressed up fully, just in case. So there's business casual and there's business professional. So again, if it's in person or if it's via online, make sure to be consistent with their career, their company culture, right? What is it that how are they dressed? How are they expecting you to dress? And you can do that research on their website, on their social media, a lot of times on their Instagram site for a company. You can see behind the scenes shots of them, hanging out at their office or whatever. So I would say, look at it, mimic that dress. If in doubt, dress up a little bit more than what you may be seeing, right? So for instance, they may be out doing an event, or like a more casual event. Always dress up a little bit more, but try not to underdress for it. So business casual, simply put, it's collared polo shirt, patterns, colors. Keep in mind, don't do too many patterns. I recommend doing maybe one pattern, and maybe like a little, if you want to wear a scarf, if you want to wear a tie. Do something though, but keep it minimal. You don't want to distract from you. Colors are fine. When in doubt, go neutral. If you do go with colors, typically you'll want to do one bright, maybe, one colorful item, and then the rest keep it neutral, khakis, navy blue, black. So, again, mimic it. If you're going for Google and you're going for a really creative place or Spotify, then you can go with that gold lame jacket or, the big, giraffe earrings. I mean, a lot of times they're expecting you to show that personality. Match the company culture with how you're dressed. Again, business casual flats or heels are acceptable. So business professional is a little bit nicer. Typically, you're going to have a sports jacket or a suit. Tie is required, whereas a lot of times with the casual, you can have just a polo shirt without the tie. Suit pants, nice trousers, heels are acceptable, though a lot of times, again, if there's going to be a lot of walking and a face-to-face where they're going to do a full tour, then nice flats are acceptable. It's your comfort level, it's you, and again, it's the company culture. Now, one thing I want to make note of, starting back in the fall semester, the University Career Center is opening back up with their campus closet. Now, the campus closet's incredible. You can have up to 4 free items of clothing per academic year for free. This is for you to make sure that you are dressed appropriately. It's at no cost. And again, you could do up to 4 items. So you could do a suit with a top, with a tie, or you could do a dress with a jacket, with a scarf, or what, I mean, there's all kinds of things that they have, all different sizes. Be sure to check it out. Again, I'll just say this. Neutrals are always going to be a safe bet, but if you do have bright colors or patterns, try to limit that because you don't want it to be too distracting. You don't want the conversation to be all about what you're wearing instead of what you're saying, unless, of course, it fits what you're doing or it fits the type of job that you're going for. Okay, so prepare your background. Now, here is a really terrific example of a professional, nice background. And here is the person on Zoom in front of that background. It looks really nice. It has some simple images with dogs, but it shows a little bit of personality with the plant. There's a stack of books behind. So, that looks very professional. It looks comfortable. And it shows just enough personality. Here you have a great array of pictures there. And again, it shows personality, and it doesn't have to be so formal. Here, this is taken from BBC News, minus the child in the background. This could be maybe a little bit more of a professional background. You've got the map, you've got the library there. So all of these work. Okay, as well as you may have seen this War Eagle background. A lot of times, people are showing a virtual background. And that's okay to use, especially if you don't have a great background, okay? I'm just gonna say this though, try not to move around so much, because if you've seen people with the virtual backgrounds, you know that it's not clearly defined. So you're gonna disappear a little bit when you move around. So try to stay, comfortable, but try to stay somewhat in one place so that you're not kind of invisible going in and out of that frame. But again, if you want something like that, or if you have a picture, last week we had Joy Burton from Simon & Schuster Publishing. She was there. She took a picture from her garden. She had a whole bunch of hydrangeas. So she had this really beautiful background of her hydrangea flowers there, and it looked great. It told a quick story about her and what she enjoys doing in her free time. So it showed some personality. But again, it was just like it was a very pretty background that shows her. So know your audience. You can even have a plain background that doesn't distract, but remember that showing who you are is like a piece of, it's like a scarf for you. That background is, it's as if it's a piece of clothing. It shows you. It shows your personality without taking too much away from you, because you're the center star here, right? It's all about you. So number 2 is analyze the job posting. So, you're going to have the job posting. I'm sure you're going to read it 5 to 10 times. You're going to know what it is that they want, right? I'd suggest going through and highlighting things that you're seeing on repeat. Are they showing, for instance, teamwork is very important? Are they showing leadership is very important? What other specialties? Is it technology, where they're expecting you to know all, 25 things in Adobe Creative Suite? Or, are they looking for things like really great problem solving? Whatever those things are, those elements that you're seeing, make sure to be able to make note of that and speak on that, especially if they go to your strengths. Now, what we have here is a SWOT analysis with strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We're just going to quickly go through that because it's something that you want to keep in mind as you're analyzing that job description. What are your strengths? Are your strengths truly in alignment with what their needs are, what their strengths are? Because if so, if you are great with working well with a team, you've done, the dance-a-thon, you've worked in your fraternity or sorority, and you've got great opportunities of working well with a team, or let's say you work at Eagle Eye News, and so you had to work with a whole team to put together a package, a news package for air. Mention that strength there as, again, looking at what it is that they're posting about. Weakness. Now, that's going to be a really popular question that employers ask, right? A lot of times they'll ask, give me your strengths, give me your weaknesses. Okay. A lot of times what they want to know is, how are you improving upon your weakness, right? But here's the thing. You need to know what that is, and you need to know what you're working on or how you're working on it, so that it's not so much a weakness that's going to be their deal breaker. So again, with the example of working well with a team, if you see it 3 or 4 times throughout that job description, and you really hate working with a team, and in fact, every time you get an assignment with a team, working with a group, you're rolling your eyes and you absolutely hate it, you may want to consider sharing another weakness that maybe won't be such a deal breaker with them. Okay, that makes sense to you? As far as if you're noticing in that when you're analyzing the job posting that there's 2 or 3 things that you'll see on repeat, or you can tell by the way they prioritize the responsibilities or what their requirements are for the job. And if you're not hitting what you know is going to be really important for them, then rethink any kind of weaknesses that you're going to share with the employer, because again, that could be the make or break for this job interview. There's always going to be things though that you're working on, and you can tell the story of how you're working on improving them. Okay, opportunities. So opportunities are things that you could pursue that would accelerate your success. So right now, for instance, I know this is going to be a really popular interview question. What did you do during the pandemic? How did you use your time? So do they really want to hear that you sat on your couch and Netflix the whole time? No, they don't. I mean, if it's the truth, it's the truth, but just know that hopefully you're going to be doing other things. There's other things that you could be doing, working on your certifications, working on self-improvement, working on, maybe you're taking a class online, whatever that is. Consider what those opportunities are now that can truly lead to that success and the success for this interview. Okay, threats. So what are things that you don't control that could threaten your success? Maybe it's competition. Maybe it's you don't have some of the experience that they're looking for, but again, you are right? Hopefully working to improve those. You're looking at ways that, and sometimes they're going to look at your resume, they're going to look at your cover letter, which you may have identified. Hey, I know I may not have this experience that you have on your job posting, but talk about it, talk about how you're improving on that, or maybe you're doing other things to help to mitigate that threat in order to still be a successful candidate, right? So what other things, sometimes it's okay to just mention, hey, I realize that I may not have the 3 years of experience you've asked for, but I do have 1.5 years and other time when I've done other principles or other parts to that job that I believe could be considered adding up to the 3 years. So consider that, okay, when you're going through your job posting. So number 3 is check out the company. So the research the company. One of the big things that you could do is look at the company culture, their values, key players. Where would that be? Typically, it's on the mission statement of the company. They'll put that up on their website too, by the way. You can also look through their pictures. You can see what is it that they value. For instance, E&J Gallo Winery, which is one of our close career partners, they have, their mission is about teamwork, working well with the team, exhibiting leadership qualities, diversity and inclusion is very important for them. So you'll see that reflected in their pictures. You'll also see that reflected in the Glassdoor, for instance, they have been #1 as far as being a great place to work the past 2 or 3 years, as per Glassdoor. When you delve into the Glassdoor comments, which are made from employers, verified employees at that company, you'll learn more about the company culture and their values and what's important for that company. Financial position. Is the company, are you noticing that, are they hiring? Are they letting go of a lot of people? Did the CEO just get fired? Are they completely clean in-house? How are they doing? Like, how's their stock prices? Is it plummeting right now, or are they doing well, right? So you're looking at those types of things to see how well is this company doing that I'm going to be, hopefully working with. Hopefully they're going to be on the rise. This is a wonky time right now during the pandemic. Companies that have done well for years, like Delta and Live Nation Entertainment, as I'm sure many of the employees are being furloughed now. So this is a really strange time, but even more so, you need to look at the company's growth and how well are they doing. The worst thing would be to start your dream job only to be the first, last one in, first one out. And that does happen quite a bit. So consider how well they're doing. Look at the competition. How well is the competition doing? How well is this company in alignment with that? What kind of clients do they have? If it's an advertising agency, it's a real easy thing to look up. What kind of clients do they have? Do you want to speak for some of those clients? Have you done research on their client base? News and industry trends. Of course, right now, companies like Shipt are doing incredibly well, as they have been since the pandemic. But again, other companies like airlines, they're not doing so well. People are not traveling as much. So keep all those things in mind. Then look at the position's duties, responsibilities, and salary range. Look at that city's salary range. Is that something that you can live on? Is that a comfortable living wage for you? So where to do that research? Resources like Glassdoor, like I just mentioned, they're LinkedIn. Of course, LinkedIn, you can do a lot about news and industry trends. Career Shift is really fantastic. Career Shift is a way, and it's free for Auburn students, but careershift.com is a way for you to do some really great like informational interviews. You can find people there. A lot of times they'll have people's emails or phone numbers of people working at that company. You can, again, look at the website, industry organizations, the publications. You know, if you're going into PR, you would maybe want to look at PRSSA and see what kinds of information do they have there. There's some, maybe even some networking opportunities to help give you some more information on the key players. So number 4 is connect with your company contacts. It's just easier and easier now to find people at those companies and be able to connect with them. So I'm going to mention again Alumni Fire, because it's really, you know, it's a networking, it's a way to network that's going to be a very easy way to network for you. Again, they're there specifically to talk to you. So connect with alumni. There's opportunities there. You can actually, once you get on the Alumni Fire platform, you can seek out people that can help you with introductions or networking opportunities. You can look at doing informational interviews and finding out more. Ask them questions about company culture. Ask questions about, you know, what is it like a day in the life of, are you guys there working on the weekends as well, not getting paid extra? Are you expected to, can you leave at 5 p.m. and then pick up back the next day without, you know, a ton of emails from your supervisors? Like what is the atmosphere like? What kind of expectations typically are there? Do they know who your direct supervisor would be, and what can they say about them? Can they give you some insight into it? Job shadowing. It's another great thing. Last week we had 25 opportunities for job shadowing. Of course, people are working from home now, but any students that were interested in working for Major League Baseball, they could have gone on that virtual job shadow, or Simon & Schuster publications. I mean, so, you know, look for those opportunities, and we'll have them there within our CLA Career Services as well as the University Career Center. Also, LinkedIn, of course, is a great way to connect. You can go to Auburn University and go to alumni, and then you can search by company or by city if you want to make some more connections. You can also look at alumni groups. New York has got a really robust alumni club, as does Nashville, Atlanta. So I would say seek those out and see what kinds of opportunities, what kind of networking you can do there. You can also look via LinkedIn at the company and see, do you have any connections, maybe for primary or secondary, maybe tertiary connections with anyone that worked there? Would they be willing to make any introductions for you? The world doesn't have to be a cold world now, right? It could be warmer connections, or maybe one person off can make the difference between you getting some insight into that company and going in coldly. We had last week also our contact from CNN. He actually said he would walk any student's resume in there that was there for the virtual job shadow week for his Zoom session. He said he would personally go walk your resume in to the person that's hiring to give everyone there a leg up and a better opportunity of getting that interview, which just thought was so nice. Okay. So checklist number 5 here, commonly asked questions. So more and more interviews are going for the behavioral interview style. Basically, it's based on interviewing, which operates under the notion that past experiences and your actions in them are strong indicators of your ability to perform in the present if you're hired. Okay, it's behavioral, so it doesn't have to be you know, just so not in tune with how you think, what your natural traits are, how you are as a person. All of that stuff does kind of, it shows through with the way that they ask this. Now, these are the commonly asked questions here. Why are you interested in this position? Or tell me about yourself, right? It's always going to be the top question that they ask. I'm just going to say this. This is in line with your elevator pitch. And I know that you guys practice your elevator pitch, you know, why are you great for that position now? What kind of experience have you had in the past that helps give you that experience? What have you done in that past, or certificates or classes that you've taken, or your summer job, whatever it was in the past that can help to make you a great candidate for the future, right? I'm just going to say this. Whatever you answer, make sure it's in alignment with the job research that you've done, or the job analysis that you've already done. I'll give you a quick example. I once had a student who was applying for a position of financial institution. They asked him during the interview, why is it that you are interested in this position? Tell me about yourself. Like, what are your interests, right? Religion was very important for him. He wanted to go into ministry, and he wanted to, go in and do a lot of volunteer work with third world countries. And there's a lot of great stuff that he wanted to do. Unfortunately, it wasn't at all in alignment with what the banking institution had in mind. And in fact, there was zero crossover in anything he was saying he wanted to do and what they had to offer him. So that was an immediate no. And I'll say this, most interviews, they know within 2 minutes if they want to hire you or not. I'm just going to say that. So that shows you how important this question is. It shows you how, because it can show the research that you've done, how prepared you are. It shows, are you fitting in with the company culture, right? I mean, are you positive in this interview? Are you serious? Do you fit in with how they are? So again, within 2 minutes, that could be a make or break for you. So this question, that first question, tell me about yourself. Make sure that it's in alignment. Tell your story, but make sure your story weaves in with the important things that they need. So if you love talking to people and being in groups and working with a team, and you know that that's one of the things that they really need with this job, make sure to shape your questions so that you can talk about that. Oh, you know what? I was just I work with Eagle Eye News, and we worked with this incredible team. I worked with 15 people at one time, and I worked with different directors over the years, had really great experiences. And this is the kind of work that I was able to do. This, and this. We were able to be seen by this number of people. I mean, it shows not only that you successfully hit a couple of their check marks, right? But then you have some great results to share with them. Perfect answer. That's going to help you more than anything else with any of these questions. But again, here's the big one, that this is the problem that a lot of students have, is like their weakness. What are your strengths? That's easy, right? You know what your top 2 strengths are, your top 3 strengths are. You know how it can be in alignment and fit with what their strengths or what they need. But the weakness question. So again, know what the deal breaker is. If they keep mentioning teamwork and you're like, oh, I really don't work well with teams at all, that's going to be an issue. But are there lesser weaknesses? Are there things that you are working on? Or are you working on working better with teams? How are you doing that? You can say, oh, well, you know what? In the past, I've had this thing, but this is what I'm doing now. I'm afraid of public speaking. Well, I've joined I've taken public speaking classes, and I've done pretty well. I've entered the public speaking competition to get more practice, or I've volunteered in our group project to be the person to present it. I mean, so show those how you're improving those things. And again, take a screenshot of this if you'd like, because these questions are the ones more likely than not you will be asked. So here is number 6, which is the interview method. The STAR method is something I absolutely love, and it's something, if you get really good at this method of answering questions, more times than not, you're going to do really well in that interview. I'm serious about that. That's how important the STAR method is. So STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. So I'm going to give you some examples, okay? So the S in STAR, the situation. So give it context, right? paint a big picture here. So let's say that they're asking a question, and this is a really common question as well, because it's a great behavioral question. How did you behave or act in this one negative situation? How did you hopefully make it become a positive situation so that they know the way you think, the way you act, if there's something like that happening there at their company. So when have you ever worked with someone that, have you ever worked with someone that was a very negative person to work with or hard to work with? And how did you work with them? That's a really popular one. So you're explaining the situation, right? Oh, I took a course that involved a group project. My group met and decided on a topic to research and present to the class at the end of the semester. Big picture situation, right? And then the task. What are the details of your responsibility? Or you can think about it this way. Can you specifically give a task that relates to the question that they ask? So they ask the question about how did you work around, have you worked with a difficult person? How did you work with them? As a collective group, we developed a plan of action for divvying and distributing the various pieces of research and presentation development. It became apparent that there was one person in the team who was not equally contributing, and nor were they supporting the project. So we decided to meet with the student, okay? Again, it speaks specifically to that question, but it also sets up the task at hand, which is you decided to go and meet with that student and speak to them directly. Action. Talk about the actions that you took to accomplish that, or how did you respond and you took charge? What did you specifically do to help that situation, right? So I elected to set the meeting up with the student and discuss the issues that we were having as a group. We discussed what sort of task would be better suited to their particular skills and abilities. As a result, we were able to shift responsibilities more in line with what that student's particular skill set was. Wonderful, right? That was the action. That was, you put a plan in place. You did something to help to lead to that group success, right? And you did something that could work not only with your team, but with the problem person there. And you helped them to be more successful with your team as well. So the result, what was the impact? What was your success story? How do you name success within that? So after realigning the task to better suit the particular skill sets of all team members, we were able to more effectively perform and complete our assigned role. As a result of our work, we were able to complete the project and receive positive feedback. I received an A on my project. Fantastic, right? Tangible result. You got an A on that project, but also you worked cohesively with the team and you helped that through your action. You demonstrated how you helped the weak person in the team to achieve that final group success. A lot of great examples of that. All I can say is practice, practice, practice. Look at the questions that we had on the slide previous to this one and answer them, and think about your star. Think about the situation, the task that relates to their question. What specific action what was your specific role in helping to remedy that issue, right? And then the result, what was the final success in that? Okay, best practices. So make sure that you are yourself. You are not being interrogated. You don't have that little light above your head and they're like, you are having a conversation. You're being you. You're being confident and comfortable. People know, they can sense when this isn't you or you're putting on a show, right? If it doesn't seem like it's very real. Be enthusiastic, but don't go, too exuberant there. And you know what I mean? Like, it's like there's a fine line between a really enthusiastic, engaged person and a person that's trying so hard it makes you cringe and it's very uncomfortable to watch. Offer real life examples, again, like using the STAR method we talked about. Really think about when in your life problem solving comes up a lot. So when have you used problem solving, leadership, teamwork, working on your weaknesses, how do you highlight your strengths? All of those things think of some really good real life examples. It could be from classwork, it could be from your personal life, it could be from working with your church, whatever that is. Give succinct, clear responses to answers, and then link your answers to what they're looking for, right? You always know, it's like if you watch the news and you hear how politicians answer questions, a lot of times you're like, that's not even really, their answer had nothing to do with the question, right? And I do that a lot in debates. Make sure it links, that there's, even if you have an agenda and you have positive things to say about yourself, make sure it still links with something that they are asking you. Okay, number 8, we're almost done. So get instructions for face-to-face and ensure tech compatibility. So if you're going to meet them face-to-face, make sure you know how long it takes and then give yourself maybe 30 minutes extra time. Honestly, never show up though earlier than 15 minutes because it makes them nervous, and but 15 minutes is always a good time to arrive early. If you're going to be on Zoom, then I would say be prepared 5 minutes early. It's okay. Test out your technical equipment or whatever that is. Test it out before then, but then make sure that you're ready to go right, even a few minutes early. You're just ready to go. They'll let you in. You'll wait in a waiting room. They'll let you in when they're ready. So let's say you're using for a Zoom session or WebEx or FaceTime or Google Meetings or whatever that is. Make sure that you've downloaded it, you've already prepared it. Also check your internet connection, okay? An Ethernet connection, which is when you're plugged in, is always better than Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. As far as the screen, make sure that it's still. And I can't tell you how many people, sometimes they're like on their phone and they'll be holding their phone walking around, or they'll have it out and it's shaking against something, or maybe they're kicking the table or something and it's moving. Make sure it's stagnant, okay? Also keep in mind the lighting. Now, right now I'm talking to you where I have the window behind this computer screen so that it's nice natural light. So that's a really great scenario, nice natural light with the window behind it. If that's not possible, then I know people that do a lot of these calls, they get a halo light that is, again, it's nice softer lighting behind the computer screen. Do not have a window, especially a bright window, behind you. It creates a glare and sometimes it makes it really hard for the people to see you. Okay, so make it really, or it hurts their eyes, right? So make sure you don't have anything really bright behind you. But again, natural lighting does tend to work very well. Okay, noise, distractions. Make sure that you have your phone off, all your things off there. Any other distractions, if you have kids going around, pets going around, whatever that is, keep it all in check, right? Maybe put a sign on your door if you got roommates that like to knock or just come in, okay? But again, make sure that you've got your noise level, the lighting is nice, the whatever you're using, if it's your phone, if it's you're using a tablet, whatever it is, just make sure that it's stagnant. This is a pretty good, it's like chest level to head level. There's a little bit of space here on the top. I have a little bit of a background here. I'm not in my bedroom. A lot of people consider that to be a no-no when you're on the bed or you're sitting with your bed in the background. Try not to do that. Also, try to show a little bit of personality if you can. Okay, so we went through all of those different resources that the technology that you should practice. For number 9, bring the right things. Now this is for face-to-face, copies of your resume, your cover letter, pen and paper, pre-written questions for your interviewers. Do your research, make sure that none of these questions that you're asking are really easy. What's your mission statement? Well, hopefully they have their mission statement on their website. Tell me more about this job. Well, make it specific and show them that you've already done your research on what the job is, but maybe ask them different things, like company culture is always a good one. You can't always suss that out, you know, as perfectly online as the way they may describe it. A list of references. Now again, face-to-face, breath mints. Also, you may have your Padfolio there ready to go. If it's face-to-face, you're going to have directions on how to get there, any special directions on parking, any of that stuff. You're going to have that ready to go. Now, if it's on Zoom or phone, make sure, again, you have your resume, you have your cover letter there, out front, handy, ready. You're going to have water or something, but preferably water and something that does not have carbonation, but something there just in case. We always get dry, especially if it's going to be like an hour interview. So make sure you have those things, maybe not in sight, but close enough so that you can grab it. As far as water goes, or coffee, try to get something like a professional mug, or you get a nice glass there. Tend to, you know, not do like out of the plastic, or, you know, something that's like your, you know, Senior Frogs cup that you've been saving since spring break. You know, try to keep something like that professional, and then have it all there. Have your pen and paper. It's okay to take notes during it, or because a lot of times they'll ask you multi-layered questions and you want to make sure that you're answering everything, right? But again, you have your questions for the interviewers, and all of that stuff should be just close enough for you to grab. Okay, number 10, follow up, say thank you. The thank you note is one of the most important things on paper that you can give, only second or third to a resume and cover letter. So a great thank you note. And again, the thank you note, you know, I realize that a lot of people are not working out of their office now. So it may just be a thank you email, because they may not give you their home address. And if you send it to their work, it may be sitting there for a couple of months till they return. So right now, I would say, normally I would say send a thank you note, send a physical one, make yourself differentiate yourself in the best possible way, right? Give yourself that leg up. But for this, make sure if it is an email, still follow a professional thank you as you would a regular handwritten one. Dear, personalize it with the interviewer's name and however they address themselves. If it's a little bit more formal, if it's first and last name, if it's Mr., Mrs., Doctor, or whatever, thank them for their time. Mention something specific about the conversation, right? Maybe you ask them at the very beginning, oh, how are you? You know, hopefully you're well with the pandemic. I know this is trying times. And they're like, oh yeah, my mom's been really sick. She has COVID, something's that, you know, they're like, hey, I'm just checking, you know, hopefully your mother is doing well. Like, do something to show that you have that personal touch. Reiterate again your interest in the job and company, and emphasize what it is about your experience would make you good at the job, right? I'm still working with Eagle Eye News, and I have new pieces that I'm going to add to my portfolio. Again, I would really love to work with your anchor job at WRBL TV, you know, whatever that is. And then thank you, and then sign your name. If you have a business card, you can enclose that again as just another way for them to remember and keep you. Okay, that was it. That was all 10, and this was, I know it was a lot of information there, so I hope that you bookmark this and refer back at least to the checklist. Connect with us online. We're going to have more tips on, you know, on interviews, as well as a whole bunch of other career service focused items on our Instagram. We have LinkedIn as well. We'll also publicize any kind of jobs, events that we have. And there's our CLA Career Services blog, which has some past jobs or internships that we have had on our newsletter. So be sure to go to that. thank you for tuning in, and I hope that you got something from this. Would love to hear your feedback. I'd love to help you, as the team would love to help you. When it comes to the interviews, I get it, how it can be very nerve-wracking. There's a lot of things to keep in mind, and a lot of things to practice and work on. Let us help you do that, okay? We're always happy to, or if you just want to talk about career stuff, please send an email or just go ahead and sign up on Handshake. So thank you again for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day.